to this video and to the July wrap-up kind of thing that I've been doing each month, where I share with you what we've been up to. And July has been a pretty busy month in general. There's been a lot of good stuff that's happened. Apologies if you can hear the washing behind me. I am just about to start to put together dinner for tonight so that it's ready and can just go in the oven because she's currently asleep. So it's a good time to do that. We are having a meatball pasta thingy-mabob. But I thought I'd go chronological order for July. Hey Jeff, do you want to come say hello? Do you want to come say hello? Hello everybody. Yeah, we've still got Jebby. He's still a good boy. You may have had a dodgy stomach last week, but all is good now. Yes, you. You did that thing where there's like a meme of how ill can I make myself so that I get the chicken and rice but not go to the vets. That was him last week. Anyway, chronological order of July. So I had the first week off, which technically was the end of June. So on that day I went and got my hair cut, which we won't really talk about because they cut it shorter than I wanted and charged me more money than I thought I was going to be paying. So there we go. But on the 1st of July I actually headed to London for the day. I somehow managed to get trains reasonably priced. I mean, it was still like £45 return, and I had to get on like 4 different trains or whatever. So I headed into London to go and meet some of my old school friends. We probably haven't been together as a 3 since my wedding, because one of them went travelling for a while and the others live really far down south, so it's hard to get us. And then obviously I had a baby, so there's all that kind of stuff that meant that it's been harder to get all 3 of us together, but we did it and we went to London. We went to, they've opened up this new like food court place in Leicester Square, like one of those ones that's got lots of different places that you can eat and then just the tables, which I think work quite well with situations like that, because then everyone can actually eat what they want but you still eat together kind of thing. So we did that. We actually ate outside because it was nice and sunny but not too warm, which was good, and I would recommend that as an eating place. It wasn't too expensive. I had like a steak sandwich and chips for I think it was about 14. I didn't have a drink because I brought a bottle of water. So I imagined if I had a drink as well, probably would have been about 20 quid, which I don't think is too bad for Leicester Square. So, I mean, nothing's going to be on a budget, but that does work quite well for that kind of thing. We then headed to, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like a VR place. And we did a pirate adventure, like Blackbeard's Revenge or whatever. So you end up going into just a room, but then they put on proper gaming headphones, like the ones that Pete has actually downstairs in the garage for his work there. You have your big VR headset, and then you have sensors on your ankles and your wrists, but then because we were doing a pirate thing we also got given a stick which was like our sword, and then another thing that was like our gun. So we had these things and all of this, and we had to battle all of the undead that were coming to us. We do have a like little video that they made for it, so I'll put that in after this. We were with another family, but because in that video you can't see anyone, I think it should be okay. It was a lot of fun. I wasn't sure what to expect, and when they suggested it, you could do all of these like horror games and stuff, I was like, I am a wimp, can we do the one that's aimed for children? Which is why we did the pirate one. We also we have a running thing about pirates within our friendship group anyway. So we did that, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I found though that the VR made me feel a little bit seasick. And I've always found that with VR. I found that if I stood still and just sort of pivoted on the spot, I was okay. but as soon as I had to move, which you do for certain things, it just made me feel really seasick, and I had to keep adjusting my VR headset because I couldn't get the vision properly, and I don't know whether that's something to do with my eyes. I have a squint, a lazy eye, whatever you want to call it, so one eye can see far away, one eye can see close up, and I think the whole thing just may have made it, so I just don't think VR works for me particularly well. But it was a lot of fun, we had a lot of laugh with it, and then because it's my friends, we went to Hamley's, and then I had to get my train home, so I only had 4 hours maybe with them, which went super quick. As I said, I haven't seen them for quite a while, but it is just picking up where we left off, which is always very nice. So that was my trip to London, and as I said, I'll add that video now. But I need to get on and sort this dinner, so I'll come back to you for the next thing somewhere else.
Watch out! What, this? Behind you! Oh, wait, behind you! Behind you!
Come here, my pretty. You never see us coming. Scurvy gargle, south back to the deep. More of them above you.
What are you? We gotta find a cannon down.
Right, I've just nipped into the car because I left the body in the boot. But I figured we might as well do this update in here, although it is very warm, so it's going to be very quick. Because I don't know if you can tell, but I am sat behind a steering wheel because I passed my driving test. Yay! So in the month of July, I had my second driving test. I failed my first one. There's a video, I'll link it up here. But I had my second driving test just because of the length of time it takes to book them. I had a good 6 months of extra lessons to, you know, get me going. And I had my test. I had done a few like mock tests with my driving instructor and basically just screwed everything up because I got so nervous. So wasn't particularly hopeful going into this one. But I did it. I passed with 2 minors. I was convinced I'd failed when I got back to the test centre because she asked me to do an emergency stop like early on in the test. So I did that fine and thought, sweet, I've done my manoeuvre. I got the easy one. I don't need to worry about anything again. Oh, I've got something on my... Because I didn't realise that if you do an emergency stop, it's an addition to another manoeuvre. So then she asked me to do a parallel park and it threw me a little bit and I made a meal of it, but managed to do it. I went the wrong way, so I turned that way rather than towards the curb. And then had to basically fix my position before I could start again, which is what I had to do. So I was convinced that I'd failed because I didn't do very well with that, but it was only a minor, so happy days. So now I'm legally able to drive, which is bloomin' frightening to be able to go out on my own. I have driven once on my own now and once with Eloise. Terrifying, don't like it. This car just feels massive compared to the one I learnt in, so I haven't quite understood the width of it, I suppose. And you know, the accelerator feels different and all of that kind of stuff. I know the more I drive it, the easier it's going to be, but as a new driver plus new car, yeah, it's all very frightening, and I'm trying to build up my confidence in doing that. But I am now sweating because it's quite warm in here, so yeah, I passed my test. Just to say on the driving test, my examiner for this one was so much nicer than the one I had the first time around. Now, I'm not saying it's because she was a woman, but she was a woman, and she just put me at so much more ease. We had a laugh before I'd even set off. Quite a few points throughout the test, she was like, right, are we still breathing? So after my parallel park, she was like, we're still breathing? I was like, less so than I was before. And all of that kind of stuff. So I don't know whether that played a part, but yeah, it's done. So if you remember way back when I did a video about resetting for the new year, and I had 2 goals that I wanted to achieve, I have ticked one of them off because it was my driving. So now I just need to sort out my bedroom. And then I've completed the 2 things I wanted to for this year. The other things that we've done, obviously we went to the Yorkshire Wildlife Park, and I did a separate video for that which came out last week or the week before, depending on how quickly I've got this one edited. So I will link that up here. But we had a good time taking Eloise to the zoo. I would say that day trips are definitely easier and they are enjoyable, but day trips take slightly longer than Eloise is able to do at the moment, if that makes sense. So she is still a napper. She's 2.5. She still has an afternoon nap. When we're at home, that afternoon nap can be anywhere from 1.5 hours to 2.5 hours. So when we then go out for the day and, you know, we get there for like 10:30, we do the thing, we do end up coming home after her nap time. And she does struggle with that, and the day after is a little bit tricky. But we manage, and they are worth doing. Like, she obviously does enjoy them. She mentions them afterwards. She's still telling me that the dinosaurs are scary and that I carried her, and that she was a brave girl. This is what I was saying to her through it and stuff. So they do have an impact. We aren't quite in that sweet spot yet where we can have a really nice day out and not have to worry about having a slightly mardy toddler at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If you want to see more about the Yorkshire Wildlife Park, the video is here for you. We have also had both sets of parents come up in July. My parents came up for a weekend, which meant that me and Pete could go out for an evening. We went to see Toy Story 5 at the cinema. I don't know if you remember, but I have like date nights that Pete gave me for my birthday in envelopes, so I don't know what they are. I opened the cinema, which was helpful. Actually, that's a lie. I opened the cinema a while ago, but we never got around to doing it. Things happened, meant that we didn't get to go and do it. So we knew that one was there. Pete was like, right, open another one, and then we'll see, and we'll decide between the 2. The one I opened was a games night, which I think we might do in August. We went to see Toy Story 5. I did enjoy it, but it didn't quite live up to the expectations I had for it. From hearing other people's reviews, certainly other parents' reviews, I thought I was going to blub like a baby, but I didn't. I did choke up at points, but I didn't have quite the emotional reaction to it that I expected. Now, this may be controversial. I am not the biggest Jessie fan. Like, she's fine as a character, but I don't like the fact that they've sort of hooked this Toy Story on her. It just didn't sit quite right with me. Toy Story is Woody and Buzz, and they were in it, but they weren't integral to it. And man, we missed Rex, Slinky, Ham, Potato Head. Like, again, they were in it, but barely. So for that, that's what I would have wanted from it. Because, you know, I was a kid. I was about 4 or 5 when the first one came out. So there is that trend going around the internet of I was Andy when the Toy Stories first started, and now I'm Andy's mum, which is true. And obviously what they're trying to say in it makes you think as a parent. So I did enjoy it, but Toy Story 3 is still the best one in my opinion. So we did that on the Friday night. We also had a drink, which was great. That was actually the day I passed my driving test, so that was like my celebration. My parents bought me flowers. I've actually just put them in the bin because they've all died, but they bought me some lovely sunflowers, and I've got some cans of drink. My mum gave them to me and said, don't have these when you're driving, which amused me. But so yeah, that was like my celebration of passing, but also one of my date nights from my birthday. But with them we went over to Forge Dam, had a walk around there, had some lunch in the cafe. It was nice, it was good. And then, as I say, Pete's parents also came, so with them we actually went into the Peaks. We did another trip over there, which we've been trying to do a little bit more of. This time we went to Bamford Edge, which I wasn't convinced was a good idea with a toddler, because the path isn't particularly pram friendly. It wasn't particularly me friendly either, particularly not with shoes that have like zero grip. They were just flat on the bottom, smooth on the bottom, and it was all sort of sandy and loose stones and stuff downhill. But hey, I got down in one piece. So we went up there, the view was good, we got some nice pictures, and they enjoyed it. We then went to a pub for some like dinner. I had their pie of the day. It's disappointing. The inside was really nice, but the pastry was so dry that I didn't finish the pastry of it. It wasn't great. And Pete had sausage and mash, which are way better. And then, I'd say, because they were here, it meant that we could go out. And actually, the reason they came up was so that we could go out, because we had tickets for Derren Brown. I bought Pete them for his birthday, I think. It was Christmas or birthday, I think birthday. So we went over to the Lyceum to see that. It's not a show or any sort of kind of show that I've seen before. So if you don't know Derren Brown, he's been around for ages, but if you don't know, he is well, he's not a magician, is he? He's like a what are they called? Hypnotist-y kind of mind games, all of that stuff. I mean, it's impressive. It is impressive what he did. There were points where the skeptic in me comes out and I'm like, well, is anyone a fix? You know, all of this kind of stuff. But everything does come full circle in the end. I'm trying to say stuff that won't give spoilers. It is a very interesting sort of type of show that he's done. There were a few moments that I question artistically. I'm not sure that we really needed them. I think they were there for shock factor rather than necessary. There's also a couple of moments that the participant, I'm curious to know how they are after it. So yeah, but there we go. One thing though that was absolutely fascinating, and I can say it because it's not going to spoil the show. Obviously, as I said, he's like hypnotisty kind of thing, so he puts people to sleep. And obviously I've seen things on TV. I've never been to a show like it, so I've never seen it in person. And I'm always a bit skeptical about it, but like literally we did it to someone like in front of us and laid them down, and you could see their eyes moving like in REM cycle. It was impressive. Either that person is a brilliant actor, and I don't think that's the case, or there's a skill that I just don't understand how someone develops. So that was fascinating. But yeah, I'm glad I've seen it. I don't think I'll be going to another Derren Brown show again. Partly because I feel like, although the theme of the show will be different, what he's going to do is going to be kind of similar. And also, I don't feel I need to see that kind of thing again. But yeah, a lot of fun. And I enjoyed my time with it at that point. Although, as I say, some points made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. But maybe I am a big old snowflake. So yeah, right. My child is awake, so I need to go, and I will come back to you to tell you more about July at another point. So it's about a week later since I started this video, but I thought I'd come in and finish it off, basically. We were up in York with Pete's auntie and brother and family. So Eloise got to hang out with her cousins. We went to the Railway Museum, which is not somewhere we probably would have gone ourselves, so it was good that she could be exposed to that kind of thing. Why do train museums always have a very certain smell? Tell me that. And yeah, she seemed to enjoy it. She was full of beans. We got stuck in like horrendous traffic getting there, so an hour and a quarter journey took us like well over 2 hours to get there. So thankfully she fell asleep for like 30-40 minutes, so she was good to go. But man, she didn't stop. Which is, I'm inherently lazy, so it's difficult for me that my 2-year-old likes to move. I blame her father for that. So largely I let him do the chasing because it's his genes that have sorted this out. So yeah, we did that. And yeah, she got to hang out with her cousins. We went on a little train. It's good fun. I've also been doing a few appointments and things with her. So in July we had her, what was supposed to be her 2-year or 2 to 2.5 year health visit. So they came to the house to do the checks and stuff. She's getting on well. I was actually quite impressed with her because normally she's quite shy, but she was, you know, showing the health visitor her dinosaurs and the Play-Doh and things. So that was all good, and she's measuring fine, and basically we've been signed off. We don't have any more visits now. Obviously if we need them we can still contact them, but none of that. I think we've got some jabs at around 3 and a bit, so Pete will have to take her to that because I don't do jabs. But I think she's got some more boosters, and I think she does the chickenpox one at that stage as well. So getting there. But that was good. I also took her to the dentist yesterday. Historically, my child has not been great at the dentist. We've been getting slowly better. So the first time we went, she just screamed the entire time. The second time, she just hid in my shoulder and still cried. This was our 3rd visit or 4th visit, I don't know. She actually showed the dentist her teeth, which is a big step for us. I don't know which of the things have helped with this. I don't know whether it's just age and the fact that she's been a few times now. I don't know whether it's the fact that we've bought her like a role-play dentist kit, so we've been talking about it a bit while she's been playing with that. I don't know whether it's because we brought her little doll Sophie with us so that she had that as well. I don't know whether it's because I bribed her with cake afterwards. But all of those things meant that the dentist could actually look at her teeth. She was still very nervous and still very scared and wouldn't do anything, but we managed to coax her to get her teeth looked at, which was the main aim. So we did that. And then the other sort of Eloise update, I guess, and I don't know whether, if you've been watching my videos over the past month, whether you've noticed or not, but we've decided to not show her, basically. Not show her face. She's still going to be in video, she's still obviously a massive part of our life, but we're not showing her fully anymore. There's been too many reports on the news and stuff about AI, people stealing images of children for AI use and nefarious stuff, that we just don't want to risk that. So from now on she won't be shown. As I said, I still want to show what we do. I've just got to try and work out how not to show her while we do it, which is difficult because obviously we still want videos of her, so I'm trying to cobble together. So that's why there may have been some weird cuts in some of the videos, and that kind of stuff. So as I'm trying to get used to that, that's why some of it may be difficult, but that's the decision that we've made. And have done for the past sort of 2 months or so. But as I've been catching up with videos, I haven't had the chance to sort of share it. Not that I need to share it, but in case anyone was wondering. So yeah, we've chosen not to share her anymore, which I hope you'll be fine with, but that is the case. I'm now going to do some sorting of her bookshelf and maybe have a look at her clothes. and then I will come back to you. And to end the video, last thing to share with you for July is that I'm heading to London tomorrow for a night with my brother Adam. We're going to go and see some shows, we're going to go and mooch around and stuff. It's going to be hot, I think, tomorrow, but we'll cope. So I've come into my bedroom because I actually need to pack for that now, because I need to leave with my family when they go to, I was going to say work in nursery, but I think Pete's taking tomorrow off because he can have the day to himself. But I need to go with them while they drop off Eloise and stuff, so that he can take me to the station because I've got an earlier train. It's at like 9:15 or something like that. But that will wrap up everything that I've done in July. So as I said, it's been a busy old month when I think about it filming this. There's been a lot that's happened, a lot of positive things that have happened. We've gone on lots of trips and we've done lots of fun things. August is, certainly at the beginning of the month, is looking a bit quieter. We might have another day trip out as a family somewhere, and then at the end of the month we're going to the Cotswolds with some of Pete's family, and then we're going up to stay with my parents, I think is the plan. So if you've enjoyed this video, my little monthly catch up, do give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please do go ahead and subscribe for the things that are coming in August, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!